Today, I'm going to be taking you behind the scenes a little bit and telling you how I edit my videos. I'm going to break down my process of creating the video, recording the video, and the edit, how it all comes together, what it looks like for me, and hopefully you'll pick up a couple of helpful tips along the way. Now, I'm not a video editing guru. My edits aren't anything crazy sophisticated, but I'm completely self-taught as far as videography and video editing are concerned. So if I've learned anything that might be useful to anybody else along the way, I'm a small creator and hopefully I can pass along some helpful tidbits of information to the next small creator out there as well. For starters, let's break down the essentials of what I do. I use Final Cut Pro as my editor of choice, but because my edits, again, aren't anything crazy, pretty sure you'll be able to use most of these tips in any editing software that you might be using, whether it's CapCut or DaVinci Resolve. The first thing I always do when I'm creating a video is I have my notes, which I put up on my phone, and I keep the phone right behind my camera. And I don't have a script or anything like fully written out. I don't read verbatim when I do videos, but I have the key notes and I use that as my guideline. And then I shoot in one single take my A-roll. Once I've got the A-roll done, then I'm going to basically watch that back in full and I'm going to say, okay, these are the different things I talked about. These are the different B-roll shots that I need to film to coincide with the video and line it up with the A-roll. A-roll is essentially your talking head, your main, basically what we're doing right now. Your B-roll help tell the story. The way I organize my files is, again, probably pretty basic, but what I do is I create a folder with the project name. So for example, how I edit my videos. And then inside there, I'll have my A-roll main video, my A-roll main audio. Those will be the only two things in the top directory. Then I'll create a folder for B-roll. Then I'll create a folder for sound effects and music. And then I'll create another folder for any imagery that I might throw in throughout the video as well. Once I've got all the footage, everything's organized, this is where the fun starts. I'll open up Final Cut Pro. And the first thing I do is drop in the A-roll video and the A-roll audio. I line them up because they're typically not always exactly in sync. If you're recording on an iPhone, you won't have to worry about this, but I record in two different devices, so I've got to line it up. And then once I've got them lined up in the timeline, the first thing I will do is on my main video, I will balance the color on the A-roll. Now, I don't shoot in log. Again, my process is very straightforward. Log is essentially a much more flexible format because you can really dial in the colors, get exactly what you want, but I don't bother with that and I don't want to use LUTs. I don't want to do anything complicated. I'll do the bare minimum editing on the white balance, on the color, saturation, etc. on the one clip. And by doing it before I make any cuts, I only have to apply that edit one time. So if you don't want to color balance 60 clips, you want to do it one time, do it before you start to cut up any of your clips. Once that's done, the next thing that I'll do is I'll scrub through all of the footage. Because I record my A-roll in one shot, there's ums and ahs and pauses and moments where I'm reading through my notes and I'm thinking about what to say. So I'll scrub through and I will cut out all of these. Chop it all down, make it nice, concise. Typically my 20-minute record will go to 5 to 10 minutes after that. Once that's all done, I'll give it another watch through, a quick scrub to make sure it flows nicely. Then I'll start to import and drop in my B-roll. Each of these B-roll clips, because they're separate clips, I will have to do color balancing on them, etc. And again, my editing is very bare bones. I'm not doing any funky transitions. I'm not really doing anything crazy in terms of animations. I'm using the default Final Cut Pro, fades and effects on these to get the transitions nailed. That's it. Like, it's very straightforward. The big thing for me is that the shots all line up and it tells a story. I also like to only cut between clips when it makes sense. And again, it's consistent with what's happening in the A-roll. So I'm not going to cut a clip between two very different themes or very different topics. I'm going to make sure that the timeline allows me to go from this B-roll clip to back to A-roll, or from one to another, to keep it consistent and to keep it flowing nicely, so that again continues to tell that story. Once the A-roll and the B-roll, everything's in, all the audio is lined up, then I'll go through, I'll apply titles and transitions. And in terms of titles, I usually will either do, there's very distinct chunks of the video or very distinct things I want to highlight within that video, I'll add titles. but typically it's just like an outro title sequence, which I've created once, and I just go into that project and I copy and paste it at the end of my clip. And yeah, add some cross dissolves, fade it all together. Again, just making sure it flows nicely. My whole thing is I want the video to speak for itself. For me, because I'm just doing talking heads and product reviews, the focus should be the product, not the the choppiness or the transitions between clips. It should really be what I'm talking about more so than anything, even more so than me. And then it comes to adding a music track. This normally takes me a little while to find one that fits with the vibe of the final project that I've worked on, but I use Epidemic Sound for all of my projects. So whether it's the music track or any specific sound effects I want to use in a project, they all come from Epidemic Sound. It's all royalty free. It is a little bit pricey month to month, but you can click the link down in my description to get a free trial if you want to check it out for yourself and see if it'll work for you. Once I've got the clip I want to use, drag it in, line it all up. Typically I have to duplicate the soundtrack 2 to 3 times and then export, and it comes up to YouTube. Like I said, short, sweet, as simple as possible. That's how I go about creating my clips. I don't do anything crazy in color balance. I don't do any crazy transitions. I'm not a crazy editor, but all the little things that I've learned over the years to put clips together, to put videos together in a fast, efficient, and effective way to tell the story. Something in there has got to be helpful to one of you guys watching out there. So that's why I just wanted to share my process, my thoughts about going through everything, and why I go through everything the way I do. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments if any of these things or tips or tricks are helpful to you and what you think of my process, whether you think it's stupid or you found it useful. Let's have a conversation as always down below, guys. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon in the next video.